Hey guys, and welcome back to the New Earth Alchemy podcast. I don't have a guest with us today. Today it's just me and you. Probably some birds and some chickens if you are listening very closely. Today I wanted to come on and talk about grounding our energy, what that means and how to do it. So think of your body as an electrical circuit, an electrical system, because it is. And just like any other electrical system, you have to ground the electricity in order to keep the current balanced and in check, right? And if you don't do that, if you don't have that grounding wire, then the energy can get chaotic and all over the place. And essentially your body does the exact same thing in the exact same way. Instead of using a grounding wire, all we have to use is our minds. All we have to use is our thoughts in order to ground our energy. Now, we can ground through our feet as well, through our skin. It doesn't have to be our feet. It can be our hands. It can be anything. And you can, we've heard of earthing a lot lately, and just getting barefoot or physical touch skin to ground any way you can. That is a form of grounding for sure. So, any chance you get, walk barefoot in the grass, on concrete, on rocks, touch grass, do that. Those are all great things to do. But you can also, anytime, anywhere, no matter where you're at or what you're doing, ground using just your mental thoughts, your processes. Practicing this, doing this, trying to stay grounded for longer extended periods of time is going to help reduce stress and anxiety, overwhelm. It's going to help improve your sleep. It also reduces inflammation and pain. That's cool. Increases your energy and vitality, improves your mood, helps you regulate your emotions. You have better circulation, heart health, faster wound healing, and enhanced immune system function. So this switches over your fight or flight response into the rest, digest, and heal. Remember, your nervous system is like a light switch. It has two modes, and either it's in one or it's in the other. So if it's in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, that side, then it cuts off the rest, digest, heal mechanisms. So it can't do both. It has to do one or the other, and most of us are stuck in the fight or flight, which cuts off all of the other stuff. And that's when that's why our stress levels are the most important factor in our health and well-being, physically and mentally and physically. Okay, those cortisol levels, they cut off the healing mechanisms. The rest, digest, and heal is, just because your body may be going through the motions of digestion, but it's not absorbing anything. It's not doing what it needs to do with the food by taking it in and sending it where it needs to do, because it's too busy. It's too busy in fight or flight, okay? Fight or flight is designed for right now immediate threats. And you don't need to digest your food and absorb. You don't need to focus on healing the cells and the wounds and any kind of pain you have going on, any tightness. Your body is not concerned with those things if there's a tiger chasing you. It just needs to get away from the tiger, and then when everything's safe and secure again, that's when we can switch back over to the regular day-to-day practice. If your house is burning down, you're not going to stop and do the dishes. You're not going to start folding laundry. It's the same concept. So when our stress responses are heightened, essentially the house is on fire. We need to put out the fire. And then we can go do the dishes and, fold the laundry. Until priorities, right? Unfortunately, our today's society and culture and our lifestyles have us in fight or flight pretty much nonstop. The house is always on fire. And yes, we've gotten used to this. The memes, this is fine. The house is on fire. This is fine. But It's not, okay? We can't live like that because it's going to deteriorate our body. So practicing these grounding techniques are going to help us more intentionally switch over from our fight or flight into our rest and digest. So, lots of ways to do that. We're going to go over them one by one. You can pick out the ones you like, the ones that you sound like may fit you and your lifestyle. It may get a little overwhelming with the amount of information, but I'm going to put all of the notes down low in the notes area so that you can glance back through them, refresh your memory, pick out what you want to do, what you want to try. Again, it doesn't matter. Make it your own. Don't worry about being particular or this is the right way to do this. There is no right way, okay? All of this is very abstract. You just kind of have to play with it, see what works for you, see what you like, make it your own. If less amount of numbers of things to do, like steps. If less steps is what works for you, which is what works for most of us, then great. Eliminate the ones you don't need. Skip over the ones you don't need. As long as you're getting the same results, we're tuning our energy. As long as you're getting those results, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you need more steps, add more in. If you have questions, let me know. You want to make it as easily accessible to yourself as possible so that you can come back to it often. So we already talked about connecting with the earth, barefoot or touching grass or whatever have you. Sometimes it's a little hard to do though, right? If you're sitting in the middle of traffic and you need to ground yourself, you can't really pull that one out. So instead, a super common one is to simply mindfulness, being aware of your body, your surroundings, the internal, the external, aware of everything in this moment that we could be aware of. Inside our body, outside our body, our surroundings, tapping into our senses. What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you taste? What do you see? All the things, the senses, scanning through the body and noticing how this feels, how that feels. Again, really paying particular attention to the lower half of your body, shifting your weight into the lower half of your body. A lot of times we don't realize that we have all of our energy, attention, weight, stress up in our upper half of our body. So probably just now you're like, shift my weight into the lower half of my body, and you're not even aware that you're not, because it makes sense that you would already be, right? But a lot of us are living up in our shoulders and the tension, the stress areas. So instead, melting all of that down. Visualization processes help a lot of people. So imagining your growing roots, from where you're sitting, where you're standing, whatever. A lot of people like to visualize the roots starting at the base of the spine. You can also do they start at your feet. Whatever works for you is fine and exactly correct. You can visualize the root chakra spinning healthily. If you're familiar with the root chakra, anything to do with that is also helpful. So healing your root chakra, focusing on your root chakra, all of that is super useful for grounding also. Kind of all the same thing, a little bit. If you want to know more about the root chakra, I'll put information about that and how to find more info on it, because I have content specifically on each chakra. So I'll just link those below. A lot of people like to visualize after you get your cords connected, your roots connected to the earth. Imagine an energetic exchange. So maybe you have, say, 2 roots connected to the earth. One is draining all the excess energy in your body that you don't need, all of the unhelpful energy, all of the problematic energy. And the other one is, it's an interchange. So bringing up from the earth, the other one is good energy, balanced energy, positive energy. So it's kind of like energetic dialysis. So you're running your energy through the earth, clearing it, cleaning it, and bringing up new positive energy that you need, energy that you've been looking for. I have a meditation that I will also link below that kind of helps you walk through this process. Some people have suggested imagining that you are a tree with deep, strong roots, or a mountain, immovable and stable. Meditating on the words of groundedness, like stable and safety, security. Those words hold energy. So focusing on them and thinking to yourself, repeating them maybe. Grounded, grounded. Safe, safe. Secure, stable, solid. I used to write these words down on Post-it notes and put them randomly around the house in my vehicle so that I saw them often, because a lot of the hardest parts of doing these practices most of the time is just remembering that they exist and that they are tools to be used. You can also use these words with your breath work. Breath work is also grounding, so just focusing on the breath is like basically really all you need to do, but you can add more to it. And I understand that breathwork is a whole subject in and of itself, so if I'm not careful, I could end up turning this entire episode from here on out just into breathwork and about it. But in a nutshell, focused on your breathing. We want to breathe deeply into the belly, utilizing the diaphragm. We don't want to... Shallow chest breathing is what we mostly do, most of us. If you watch babies breathe, their bellies are going up and down. Like when they're taking a nap, watch them. Their bellies are what's going up and down. That's because they're still utilizing their diaphragm and breathing deep into those lower parts of the lungs, those lower chambers. Shallow chest breathing is something that happens when we're in our stress response. And a lot of us get stuck there. And, also with our body image issues, everyone's like sucking it in all the time. And that constricts your breathing also. So learning to relax, learning to breathe in the belly, it's okay. And it's also important to know that when you start changing your breathing habits and trying to consciously bring it deeper into the belly, it's going to take a little bit of practice, especially if you've been shallow chest breathing for many, many years. It's going to feel possibly like you're hyperventilating at first, like you can't breathe properly, and oh man, what's going on? This is supposed to help my anxiety. This is actually making my anxiety worse. So you should know that there is usually a little bit of a learning curve there, a little bit of a bridge that you have to cross before you get to the easier benefits of focusing on your breathing. But in a nutshell, deep inhales, deep in the belly, all the way, and then exaggerated exhales, focusing on the release and relaxation as you exhale. So you can incorporate words into this in a couple of different ways. You can, again, imagining the energy of the word peace, serenity. I don't know. Just pick a random word that you like and focus on the energy of it. And you can imagine yourself breathing in this energy. And then as you exhale, blowing away anything that no longer serves you. And just leaning into all of that. Exercise can be a great grounding practice. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. But it's actually one of the easier practices, if you ask me. Because we're so attuned to our physical environment and our physical bodies that sometimes it can be a little bit easier to approach these things from a physical standpoint first until we can find the mental, spiritual stuff on the inside. And I promise you, if you think you don't like exercise, you just have not found the exercise that works for you, okay? I hate exercise, which is hilarious, right? Given who I am. I do yoga. I'm a yoga instructor. I play a stupid amount of pickleball, and I also do jujitsu. I've always been into martial arts. But I cannot go to the gym and lift weights or get on these exercise machines. They bore the crap out of me. I have to trick myself into exercising through games and play. Yoga, I got into it because I came across a Pinterest article many years ago entitled How to Exercise If You're Lazy. And I was like, that's it. That's me. Tell me more. And it was about yoga, specifically restorative yoga. And here I am, like 15 years later, and that has worked for me because I could just, it started out, it's easy access, easy entry, because I always tell people, if you want to get started being more consistent with a practice, if you have a show that you like to watch, sit in the floor while you watch it, stretch, and then, that just kind of turns into more. So that's a great entry level. Sit in your floor and stretch. Stretching is super grounding. It's that physical practice. Not only stretching, but strength building. So all of that, anything you can really get into your body and activate the strength of your body is going to make you feel more grounded. Pickleball is also very low entry and great cardio. And when I say like very low entry, some of the people beating our butts are like in their 70s. Okay? And if they can do it, you can do it. Kayaking, hiking. There are 1,000 different ways to exercise that we don't generally call exercise. We call it other things. Make it a game. Find something you enjoy, but just keep bouncing around from this to that. My husband played disc golf for a while. He plays basketball. He kind of just bounces around from one thing or another. He'll do this for a little bit until he gets bored, and then he'll do this for a little bit until he gets bored. And you'll find amazing benefits if you, not only in the grounding aspect of yourself, but the pickleball community, the martial arts community, all of these things, the yoga community, they're communities that you come to a yoga class thinking that you're doing it for exercise. Oh, you are, but you enter it through that avenue, and it ends up healing all sorts of things for you because you find yourself becoming a part of this community, which at the end of the day, most of us, our issues are lack of community, lack of some support. We don't have our villages so readily available anymore. So we have to kind of work at building those again. So sometimes I go to pickleball not because I need the physical activity, but because I need the community aspect. I need that emotional, mental, like, encapsulation of people around me who know who I am and like me and can reassure me and, chat. And it heals that in us that so many of us are missing. So yay for unforeseen benefits to all of the things, right? But you can get that, you can find that community aspect. And, finding your community, your support system, that is also grounding. It's very grounding. We're communal creatures. We're one organism connected more than we could ever imagine that we are. And feeling disconnected to one another really frazzles our energetic system and leaves us feeling all out of whack and short-circuited. So if you're having trouble staying grounded and you've been trying all of these things and you're like, Savannah, I know all of this stuff. Give me the good stuff. What is the other stuff? Because there's got to be other stuff because this stuff isn't working. Most likely it's the community aspect that you're missing. And you would be amazed at the things, the emotional and physical things that are healed through that community connection. We're so cut off. That's our crown chakra. Most of us can't make it there. I talk about Maslow's pyramid and how you have to start at the bottom base, the root chakra. Most of us are pretty well stuck in the lower 3 chakras, and we can't get to full actualization without that community aspect. And you can find that community aspect in all sorts of different places. And I know that it's scary and we have social anxiety and people have hurt us. There's no doubt that the worst emotional pain, trauma, all of the things in our life come from other people, other individuals, especially those that we thought were part of our community, part of our village. But there's also nothing more important that heals us. There's nothing more healing. It's the cause and the cure, which is annoying because it can be really hard to figure out how to rebuild your community, reassert yourself into a community, especially if you are starting from scratch and dragging along a lot of trauma, relationship trauma in all of its forms. I don't mean relationships romantically, but all of the forms, the family, the friends, the acquaintances, all of the types of relationships. But allowing yourself to venture out and be brave and dip your toes into various communities. Maybe not looking for, you don't want to go into it looking for community per se. Maybe you do, but that can be, you don't want to be too strong out the gate. You don't want to come off too strong. You want to dip your toes in with a hobby, start with the thing, not the people, and then see if it's for you, because you have to make lasting connections. So it has to be organic, which means that you have to genuinely be interested in the thing that you're going into. You can't just sign up for all of the clubs, no matter what they are, hoping that you're going to find your people in one of those. You have to be specific with, okay, well, I am interested in anime, so let me find a club or something community-wise that has to do with that, or a book club, or a chess club, or cooking classes, or whatever. There's so many different types. But just look for anything that you can consistently show up for, be a part of. There may be some volunteer groups in your area that you can join. Depending on what is available to you, depends heavily on where you're located. Where I'm located, it's growing, but there's not a whole lot of options if you're not into sports, honestly, where I live. In the South, everybody's very sports oriented, and you can find different clubs and groups and stuff in the city, just a couple of, a little bit over, a few miles to the left. But for the most part, in my town, it's pretty limited, so it may also be limited for you as well. In which case, if you have the capacity to start a group of some sort. For a couple of years, I ran a mom's anxiety group because I was a mom struggling with anxiety. So and I was already studying how to lessen my anxiety. So I was putting these groups together once a month where we met and talked about our anxiety and did little exercises and ways to help it. And that became, I couldn't maintain that the way it needed to be maintained as a new mom, but some people can. If you can't, that's okay too. You can start with online community. There's lots of ways, lots of things, but please don't let anxiety hold you back. It's okay to be anxious and show up anyway, okay? Most people are not mean. Especially as an adult, most people are not mean, and if you find a mean one, you can probably bond with the other ones about the mean one, because if you think that they're mean, all the other ones think that they're mean too, and y'all can chat about that. Most people these days in group settings are wonderful. We're all collectively trying to build our communities and build our villages back from scratch, so we have that in common already. And most of us just want the best for one another. So please don't give up. Please keep trying to find your place and your people. And try to remember to stay as grounded as you can, as often as you can. And I hope these practices helped. I hope this little info podcast episode helped. There's notes below if you need more info. If you have questions, please never hesitate to ask. If you want to get started with yoga, I have some online videos that I've been posting to the Patreon to help people get into that. But I hope you're doing okay, and if you need anything, let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.